It's 9:30 a.m. on a Sunday. The Louvre has been open for exactly 30 minutes. Thousands of tourists are already inside the world's most secure museum. But outside, on the south side facing the river Seine, 4 men in construction vests are extending a mechanical lift toward a first-floor balcony. They aren't maintenance workers. They are a highly coordinated crew about to execute a brazen, daylight robbery that will expose decades of security flaws, take less than 8 minutes, and strip France of 88 million euros in priceless crown jewels. This is how the Louvre was broken. To understand the sheer audacity of this heist, we first have to understand the target. The Galerie d'Apollon, or Apollo Gallery, is a masterpiece of architecture, located in the Denon wing of the Louvre. Designed originally for the Sun King, Louis XIV, it boasts vaulted ceilings adorned with frescoes and walls lined with gold. But the real treasure sits in the center of the room, protected by what the Louvre believed to be impenetrable, high-density glass cases. These cases house the surviving relics of the French monarchy, the crown jewels. We're talking about items of incalculable historical value. Empress Marie-Louise's emerald parure, an 1810 wedding gift from Napoleon himself, boasting a staggering 32 perfectly cut emeralds. Queen Marie Amélie's sapphire tiara, dripping with over 1,000 diamonds. And the crown jewel of the collection, Empress Eugenie's pearl and diamond diadem, holding over 2,000 precious stones. For decades, these items sat undisturbed. The Louvre, after all, is a fortress. It is the most visited museum on Earth. It has layers of security, heavily armed guards, and hundreds of cameras. A brazen smash and grab was considered impossible. The 2025 Louvre Heist wasn't just a crime, it was a wake-up call that exposed decades of underinvestment in security at one of humanity's greatest cultural institutions. The museum had focused heavily on crowd control and protecting paintings like the Mona Lisa, but they severely underestimated the threat of a brute force exterior attack. The architects of this heist knew that a fortress is only as strong as its weakest blind spot, and they found one right overlooking the River Seine. Let's look at the spatial timeline. It's October 19, 2025. The doors of the Louvre open to the public at 9 a.m. Inside, the usual morning rush begins. But outside, on the Quai François Mitterrand, a completely different operation is underway. At 9:30 a.m., a small truck pulls up directly alongside the museum. To any passing Parisian or tourist, it looks completely normal. The men are wearing orange and yellow high-visibility vests. In a city constantly under construction, no one looks twice at men in hard hats. But this truck is equipped with a mechanical freight lift, a cherry picker basket, and the men quickly maneuver it directly beneath a first-floor balcony. The balcony belongs to the Galerie d'Apollon. 2 men, their faces now concealed by balaclavas, step into the basket and are elevated to the first floor. In their hands, they hold heavy-duty industrial disc cutters and angle grinders. This is where the sheer violence of the operation begins. There is no delicate lockpicking here. At 9:34 a.m., the high-pitched scream of the disc cutter tears through the morning air as they slice directly through the reinforced glass window. The perimeter is breached. The security alarms instantly trigger in the Louvre's central control room. But here's the first critical failure in the museum's security architecture. While the alarms sound, a vital external camera on the Seine facade was pointed in the wrong direction. The control room knows there is a breach, but they don't have immediate visual confirmation of the magnitude of the threat. The thieves just bought themselves the most valuable currency in a heist: time. Once inside the Apollo Gallery, the 2 thieves move with practiced, military precision. They have exactly 4 minutes to execute the extraction before armed police descend on the wing. They don't go for the paintings. They bypass priceless artifacts and head straight for the 2 central glass display cases holding the crown jewels. Consider the brazenness of this act. The Denon wing is normally packed with tourists. By striking just 30 minutes after opening, the thieves knew the galleries would be populated, allowing them to use the presence of bystanders to prevent security from opening fire. Security guards rush into the gallery, but they are met by the terrifying sight of masked men wielding industrial power tools. Following standard operating protocols designed to protect human life, the guards immediately begin evacuating the terrified tourists, leaving the thieves to their work. Sparks fly across the gilded 17th century room as the angle grinders bite into the reinforced glass. It takes only seconds to shatter the barriers. The men begin sweeping history into their bags. They grab the sapphire tiara and necklace of Queen Marie Amélie. They snatch Empress Marie-Louise's emerald set. They secure Empress Eugenie's diamond bow brooch. In total, they rip 9 pieces of imperial history from their velvet mounts. The estimated market value, 88 million euros. but their historical value is simply incalculable. You cannot put a price tag on the physical legacy of the French Empire. But adrenaline makes people sloppy. As the clock hits 9:38 a.m., the 4-minute window inside the gallery violently slams shut. The thieves rush back to the shattered window. The extraction is where the perfect plan begins to unravel. The thieves scramble out of the window and back into the mechanical lift basket. But as they frantically try to shove the stolen artifacts through the jagged hole in the glass, a massive miscalculation occurs. One of the most spectacular pieces they grabbed was the golden, eagle-adorned crown of Empress Eugenie, studded with over 1,300 diamonds and 56 emeralds. It's a large, rigid piece of metalwork, and the hole they cut in the glass is just a fraction of an inch too small. In their panicked haste to force it through, the crown gets snagged. They pull hard. The crown violently pops through the glass, but the momentum sends it tumbling out of their hands. It falls from the first-floor balcony, crashing onto the cobblestones below. The impact damages the priceless artifact, but the thieves cannot stop to retrieve it. They leave it sitting in the dirt. The lift lowers them to the street, where 2 accomplices are waiting on high-speed Yamaha T-Max scooters, engines revving. Before fleeing, one of the thieves attempts to pour gasoline on the basket lift to set it on fire, a classic forensic countermeasure to destroy DNA. But a courageous museum staff member intervenes, forcing the crew to abandon the arson attempt. They speed off east toward Highway A6, disappearing into the Parisian traffic. The dropped crown, while damaged, was eventually recovered and sent for painstaking restoration. The rest of the haul, 8 breathtaking items, was successfully loaded onto the escape vehicles. The aftermath of the October 2025 Louvre heist was a scene of absolute chaos and international embarrassment. The world's greatest museum had been gutted in 8 minutes. When the police arrived, they found a trail of forensic breadcrumbs that left investigators stunned. Because the thieves were prevented from burning the lift, the crime scene was pristine. They left behind a motorcycle helmet, an angle grinder, a pair of gloves, a walkie-talkie, and a high-visibility vest. Criminologists immediately noted that while the heist was audacious, the execution was remarkably sloppy. How could a multi-million-dollar security apparatus fail so spectacularly? The investigation showed a perfect storm of institutional complacency. The Louvre is a sprawling complex, a former royal palace never originally designed to be a modern high-security vault. Retrofitting cameras into 13th-century stone is a logistical nightmare. A post-heist parliamentary investigation revealed shocking vulnerabilities. The museum's director had actually requested a security audit months prior, warning of these exact weak points. But bureaucratic red tape delayed the upgrades. The timeline revealed that while the window alarm triggered at 9:34 a.m., there was a fatal delay in directly patching the police to the localized threat. Furthermore, the external cameras on the Seine side were misaligned. The thieves hadn't disabled the cameras. They just knew exactly where the blind spots were. The French president called it an attack on the nation's heritage. The remaining crown jewels were quietly packed up and transferred to the Bank of France vaults. The Louvre announced a massive $92 million master plan to overhaul their security grid. Within weeks, French police made a series of arrests, targeting local organized crime figures from the Seine-Saint-Denis suburb. They weren't the international super thieves out of a Hollywood movie. They were opportunistic, heavy-handed criminals who exploited a glaring weakness in a centuries-old building. But while suspects were rounded up, the 88 million euros worth of jewels vanished into the criminal underworld. Art theft experts fear the worst, that these historical masterpieces might be broken down, the gold melted, and the diamonds recut to be sold on the black market, erasing them from history forever. The 2025 Louvre heist remains a stark warning. It proves that no institution, no matter how famous or fortified, is immune to the brute force of a well-timed daylight strike. What do you think? Will the French crown jewels ever be recovered intact, or are they lost to history forever? Let me know down in the comments. And if you want to see how another impossible heist was pulled off, click the video on your screen right now.